What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. News of the day, the AHA and ACC, that is the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology, have both condemned the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet with regards to cardiovascular health. There's no surprise there. I mean, is anybody really surprised that eating a pound of bacon a day, a stick of butter, and a block of cheese is healthy? Is heart healthy? Is not heart healthy? I mean, is anybody shocked by this? Is anybody fucking shocked by this? Nobody's shocked by this. Even the proponents of the ketogenic diet and the proponents of the carnivore diet, though they may be well-intended, I'd say a very minority percentage of the advocates are well-intended. There are a few to which I would consider a single-digit percentage, friends of mine, although we disagree, and I have my own opinions as to why, to which I have voiced to them, not so much publicly. Money. Excuse me. Ego. Relevance. Excuse me. But really, I mean, come on, is anybody surprised? Now, what we're talking about here, we're talking about the vast percentage of the population, to be clear. If you want to drill down deep enough, granular enough to those single-digit percentage niche populations, and you could make a case as to why one of these disordered eating patterns are maybe healthy for certain periods of their time, well, then maybe we can have that conversation. But the vast majority of the human population, the vast majority of the time that they are on this planet, will not thrive while following a ketogenic or carnivore diet, specifically with regards to cardiovascular health. We can talk about all aspects of health, but the point of the day is cardiovascular health. And what prompted this conversation? Well, a recent report came out that said aspirin is out. Here's how healthy older adults can prevent heart attacks and strokes without pills. And obviously, those on the YouTube channel, you can see what I'm talking about. Those on the podcast, you can just link to the YouTube channel. Sunday, the American College of Cardiology and the American Heart Association said that a daily 75 to 100 milligrams of aspirin should no longer be given as a way to prevent arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease in people older than 70, or any adult at an increased risk of bleeding. Now, this will go on to say that do not change, and I want to be clear also, do not change your current prescribed lifestyle pattern with or without aspirin without discussing it with your doctor first. Those of you who are listening, talk to your doctor before you make any changes. But the ACC and the AHA have both said, hey, that might not be the best way. Now, moving down, the American College of Cardiology and the American Heart Association both said these are the best ways to avoid heart attacks and strokes. Number one, eat a diet full of vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, whole grains, and fish. Limit eating salt, saturated fats, fried foods, processed meats, and drinking sweetened beverages. They go on to talk about regular exercise and keeping a healthy body weight, plus the avoidance of smoking, tobacco, and other such products. Now, what we want to center in on, for those of you who were wondering why I said the AHA and ACC have condemned the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet, because the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet are nearly exclusively animal products. And they don't often differentiate between the type of animal products, and many in the ketogenic and the carnivore community pride themselves on the massive quantities of animal products they consume. And very, 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 very few really stop to consider the quality of the animal products that they are suggesting to their platform. And that's where I have the biggest issue with them. That's why I say a few of my friends are in those communities and have those belief systems, though they're relatively new belief systems. And that's one of the things that I really would push back against is all of a sudden they became believers in the carnivore and or ketogenic diet when the SEO algorithms made it beneficial to do so. And that's where I do have a problem. They didn't just stumble upon this 8 years ago when nobody was talking keto or carnivore. All of a sudden, keto and carnivore became pop culture fabulous, and now all of a sudden they've repositioned their brand to be aligned with keto and carnivore. That seems a little deceptive to me. That seems a little bit like they're chasing the money. They're putting the money before their principles or the science. Hey, maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. But I will say the ACC and AHA all agree that those diets are pretty shit for avoiding cardiovascular disease and the risk of stroke. Again, the ACC and AHA both say to avoid heart attacks and stroke, a diet full of vegetables, not carnivore approved. Fruits, not carnivore or keto approved. Legumes, not carnivore and keto approved. Whole grains, not carnivore, not keto approved. And fish, approved by both. Also limiting salt, high salt intake on carnivore and keto, typically. Saturated fats, high intake of saturated fats on keto and carnivore. Fried foods, high intake of fried foods on both carnivore and keto. Processed meats, again, high intake of processed meats on both carnivore and keto. So what I want you to do, ladies and gentlemen of the global population, is to really consider this. You have the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology both saying what's really good to avoid heart attacks and strokes is eating what sounds like a robust diet of earth-grown nutrients. It's kind of what it sounds like. Veggies and fruits and legumes and nuts and whole grains and fish, which is what we talk about here at the Dolce Diet, which we've always talked about for the last 20 or so years. We haven't jumped in and out of the SEO fads. We haven't jumped in and out of the pop culture fads. We haven't chased the money. The biggest complaint about the Dolce diet is, damn, that Dolce just pretty much says the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. He doesn't change with the times. He doesn't care what Gwyneth Paltrow says or the most snazzy guest on the Joe Rogan podcast. He doesn't really follow that, though there's big money if I were to follow that. We choose not to. We choose to keep it honest, transparent, open dialogue with you about what the science shows and what actually works in the real world. And that's following an earth-grown diet of organic foods that are raised local and organic with, best practices, minimally processed, minimally prepared, minimally cooked when possible, always wild to the best of our ability. Following a micronutrient, phytonutrient dense intake, thereby avoiding the need for a higher caloric threshold. If you eat high quality foods that are of high micro and phytonutrient density, you need to eat less total calories. So then the possibility of overeating is much reduced. We insist on exercising regularly 3 to 5 times per week for 30 to 90 minutes at a clip, sleeping 7.5 to 9 hours per night, managing external stress, avoiding external stress. I mean, this is what we talk about here at the Dolce Diet, and this is what we're going to keep on talking about. And I can't imagine science ever changing to show that anything we talk about is not 100% true and accurate. And if you can debunk it, please let me know. I would love to hear how our principles are flawed in any way, shape, or form. But then if we lean towards the keto and the carnivore dogma, we can clearly see that the two most reputable cardiac agencies in the nation, in the world, I mean, really trendsetters globally, they both say that basically, and this is the condemnation, they condemn the carnivore and keto diet, and they applaud the earth-grown wide variety intake of foods that the keto and the cardiogenic, keto and carnivore diet, proponents avoid. And that's odd. So I don't understand how my friends across the line in the keto world and the carnivore world can still sit here in light of all the highly qualified cardiologists, the mountains and mountains and mountains and mountains of research that discuss a heart-healthy lifestyle, when they cherry pick a few minor bullet points to highlight some sort of correlation between saturated fats or their dogma, their principles, and the possibility of cardiovascular disease reduction, which is slim. I mean, it's guys and gals, it's slim, right? None of you believe. I got to assume none of you believe that you can go out and just eat piles of meat and pounds of bacon and blocks of cheese and sticks of butter all day long. Fried foods, fried meats, no problem. You can eat that all day long and be healthy. No matter what your favorite YouTube personality might say, right? You don't believe that. You can't believe that. I can't imagine you believe that's true. And the science and the scientists clearly uphold that it's not. And that's hence the title of this video is the condemnation. So I mean, I don't have much more to say on that. I can't imagine. It's so weird. It really is. It's so weird for me to see people who follow these approaches. And I'm happy to talk to any one of them. I'm happy to talk to any of the experts in the ketogenic movement or the carnivore movement. I'm truly happy to have an open, honest, respectful dialogue with them on a public forum to have these deeper conversations, to be like, hey, bud, hey, gal, you really selling that to us right now? That you can go to Costco and you can buy 4 pounds of conventionally raised fucking death meat, and you can take that home and you can fry that up on your skillet and you can just eat that all day with a dozen eggs and a block of cheese and a stick of butter and eat your pork rinds, and that's all heart healthy? Really? That's the best thing that you're selling right now? Fuck. And what's going to happen, 8 to 16 months from now, when keto and carnivore has pretty much lost the Google click edge, when the SEO rankings are dramatically dropping, when the keyword searches are no more? It will be interesting to see how all of these keto and carnivore and super low carb proponents all of a sudden reposition their brand once again to follow what is next. And I've done videos on these over the last 1.5 to 2 years talking about that, and I've been correct all the way through about the 36-month arc of these fad diets, and when they crash, something typically more exclusionary comes through, right? So we had the keto, and from keto sprung carnivore, from keto carnivore sprung the intermittent fasting down to the super fasting, like the 1, 2, 3 day, 4 day fast, which are now the big thing, basically eating nearly nothing for as long as possible. And you can see how exclusionary that all comes until, again, we have the final bounce and we go complete 180, and likely a higher carbohydrate diet will come back into relevance, at some point, probably within the next 18 months or so. So again, guys and gals, this is the AHA. This is the ACC. They are condemning the carnivore diet. They're condemning the ketogenic diet with regards to stroke and heart disease. And this is serious stuff. This is serious business. What we simply want you to do is go to your doctor, get your blood work done, have a great relationship with your doctor, stay consistent, look for any sort of anomalies, look for any sort of issues. Make sure that you're constantly aware of what your individual health is, while being aware of eating a wide variety of nutrient-dense foods that the healthiest people on the planet are currently eating. avoiding the high-risk foods that the smartest cardiologists in the country for decades and decades and decades have been pointing you away from. I mean, we need to be aware of that. Say what you will about some science and some scientists, but there is pretty much a general global consensus of how we can have healthier lifestyle and how we will have an unhealthier lifestyle, and that's pretty clear and obvious. Well, I hope you like it. I hope you appreciate this. I'd love to see your comments below. Please feel free to leave your comments below. Be respect. If you disagree, hey, that's fine. No problem. Disagree, that's cool. Educate yourself. Continue to always educate yourself. Check everything I say. I want you to check everything I say. But if you disagree, feel free to leave it in the comments on our YouTube page. I'd love to discuss it. If you're an expert in your field, please let's chat it up. I'd love to have a conversation with you too, and let's talk about it. I don't know. Maybe eating pounds of bacon and cheese and butter somehow is healthy. I'd love to see you try and defend that or change my mind. I'll pull a Steven Crowder on you. Change my mind. Let's see what happens. Until next time, boom.